The race action in the opening round of the Camel Supercross Series, as was seen 1 week ago right here on ESPN, is any indication of what's to come during the rest of the series, then you won't want to miss a single round. In the opener at Anaheim Stadium, the early lead belonged to 1984 Supercross champion Johnny O'Mara. In fact, it appeared that the Team Suzuki rider had victory in the bay. Then this O'Mara steering assembly break, and the Suzuki rider was sent to the sidelines. Defending Supercross champ Rick Johnson from El Cajon, California, inherited the lead and cruised to the win. This week, round 2 of the series is at Seattle's King Dome. O'Mara has vowed revenge while Rick Johnson pledges 2 in a row. Stay tuned for Supercross action on ESPN.
Mountain standing guard over the waters of Puget Sound. In another direction, the man-made beauty of Seattle's famed Space Needle and the billowing structure of Seattle's King Dome. Hello, everyone. I'm Larry Myers. We're here at the Seattle King Dome for round 2 of the Camel Supercross Series. With me to help bring you the action is Dennis Torres. Now, earlier today, Dennis had the chance to visit with a championship hopeful who had more on his mind than just tonight's race.
Larry, I'm down here with the 2-time series champ, Jeff Ward. And the big question here in Seattle, at least prior to practice, is can the Kawasaki rider rebound from his foot injury suffered in Anaheim last week? So, Jeff, how about it?
Well, it is a substantial foot injury. It's not my ankle, which I think everybody thinks it is. But it just takes a lot of therapy on my part this week and a lot of dedication to get up here. And I really still don't know how it's going to be right now.
What about your strategy going into the race tonight? Will you be playing catch-up as far as the series is concerned, or are you going to just take it as if it was round 1?
Well, it looks like I have to play catch-up because that's why I'm up here, to salvage some points. And I'm going to go basically on how I do up here. If I can't get any points, it's just going to hurt it more and then jeopardize my national chances for that championship. I'm just going to pack it in and just wait till Gainesville.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
That's the word from the 2-time series champ before a wheel is even turned here in Seattle.
Thank you, Dennis. And as we look back at the first qualifier held shortly after that interview, on the line was Jeff Ward, rider number 5. In practice, Ward rode conservatively. He took the smoothest lines with a feet-on-the-pegs riding style. It was obvious Ward was not concerned with going fast, but was concerned with minimizing chances of further aggravating his injury. That was good for practice, but to finish in the top 5 and qualify for the main event, Ward needed to discard those tactics and test his injury. Meanwhile, testing the field and each other were Sean Kalos, number 24, and Honda's Guy Cooper, number 10. Cooper, with a 3rd-place finish in the season opener at Anaheim, quickly established himself as a potential Seattle winner. The Stillwater, Oklahoma native aboard the red Honda took the lead from Cooper on the opening lap and appeared to have the situation well in hand. Kalos, though, refused to go away. The 18-year-old Yamaha rider from Litchfield Park, Arizona, camped on Cooper's rear wheel and hounded him from one end of the track to the other. It finally paid off as Kalos regained the number 1 position, but not for long. Cooper, with a good drive out of the corner, repassed Kalos, but again, he couldn't shake the Yamaha rider. Kalos kept the pressure on, and for the 3rd time in the first heat, took over the number 1 spot. Now it was Cooper's turn to put the pressure on Kalos, and Cooper took full advantage of the situation. He parked his Honda next to the Yamaha and kept it there until it was time to turn. Kalos on the outside had nowhere to go except back to 2nd. And for the 3rd time, Cooper had the lead, this time for good. Ward, meanwhile, had dropped way off the pace. The former Supercross champ gave it 110%, but the pain was too much. The Kawasaki rider was not able to charge the corners or let it all hang out in the jumps. By the time Cooper took the checkered flag, Ward was off the track and through for the night. In addition to Honda's Guy Cooper, Sean Kalos on a Yamaha, Jason Upshaw on a Honda, Mike Pasquarella aboard a Suzuki, and Kawasaki-mounted Denny Stevenson transferred to the main event from the evening's first qualifier. Coming up is more Supercross action from the Seattle King Dome. Stay with us on Rarity, a once in every 5 years or so accumulation of snow and freezing temperatures. But that's outside and we're inside in the Seattle King Dome, where it's warm and dry. Earlier today, it was the site of Supercross main event qualifying. Number 44, Danny Storbeck from San Antonio, Texas, took hole shot honors in the 2nd qualifier, but was soon passed by Team Honda's Jeff Stanton. In second place in the Supercross standings, Stanton has never won a Supercross main event. The Michigan native switched from Yamaha to Honda for the '89 season and feels the change in brands will initiate winning ways. Behind Stanton, early leader Danny Storbeck had company. Ron Tichenour on the yellow Suzuki and Ron Lechien on the green Kawasaki in third and fourth were intent on improving their positions. Tichenour from Palm Harbor, Florida put the pressure on and never let up. If Storbeck drifted a hair to the outside, then Tichenour would stick a wheel on the inside. If Storbeck cut back to the inside, then Tichenour went wide. Finally, the badgering paid off. Tichenour made the pass and moved into the runner-up spot, leaving Storbeck and Lechien to fight over third. To experienced Supercross watchers, it should not have been much of a battle. Lechien, with a factory contract, is considered one of the premier riders in the United States. Storbeck, a privateer, is on the comeback trail after a year's worth of retirement. But that was not a move from a home for the retired. A frustrated Ron Lechien had to start all over. Now watch close the upcoming hairpin turn at the end of the whoops. Lechien will get the break he was looking for as Storbeck stalled his bike. The Kawasaki rider rocketed out of the corner all alone in third. That's as far as he would get. Stanton took the checkered flag with a comfortable lead over the rest of the field. Finishing behind Stanton in qualifier number 2 was Suzuki's Ron Tichenour. Ron Lechien on the Kawasaki was third, while Danny Storbeck recovered to hold on to fourth. Fifth place went to Yamaha rider Doug DUBACH from Costa Mesa, California. The third and final qualifying heat race bore marks of the Supercross season's opening main event at Anaheim Stadium, seen here on ESPN just 1 week ago. In that race, as in this qualifier, Suzuki's Johnny O'Mara was the leader, with defending Supercross champ Rick Johnson giving chase. With a big lead, O'Mara experienced mechanical difficulties at Anaheim that put the 1984 Supercross champ on the sidelines. There were no problems at Seattle, unless, of course, you count Rick Johnson. The two-time and defending Supercross champ was in no mood to play games with anyone. The Honda star from El Cajon, California, felt at Anaheim that if O'Mara had not experienced problems that he, meaning Johnson, would have caught and passed O'Mara. The Suzuki camp thought otherwise and said so. Perhaps then both riders had something to prove in the final qualifier, and undoubtedly the battle will carry on into the main. Give the win to defending Supercross champion Rick Johnson, with Johnny O'Mara close behind. Finishing third was Yamaha's Mickey Diamond. Frenchman Jean-Michel Vail on a Pro Circuit Honda was fourth, and Keith Bowen aboard a Tough Racing Suzuki was fifth. In addition to action in the 250 class, fans at the Seattle Kingdome were treated to a full slate of racing in the 125 class. Here with a recap of that main event is Dennis Torres.
Grand rivalry was alive and well in the 125 main event, Larry. Number 39, Phoenix, Arizona's Jimmy Gaddis aboard a Suzuki got the whole shot, but was under heavy pressure from Kawasaki factory rider number 26, Jeff MATIASEVICH. The defending 125cc Western Supercross champ made what was to be the winning pass on the Suzuki rider going into the tunnel. Emerging with the lead he would never relinquish. Gaddis would eventually finish fifth. With Gaddis out of the picture, Larry Ward, number 971, took up the challenge of trying to catch the flying MATIASEVICH. While Ward was trying to catch the leader, number 19, Yamaha-mounted Mike LaRocco was treating fans to an impressive come-from-behind charge that saw him net an eventual third-place finish. In the end, MATIASEVICH, who won last week in Anaheim, took the checkered flag with a charging Ward not far behind.
In the last lap, I could hear his bike running. You know, I could hear him in the background, so I knew he was right there, and I just tried to take all the inside lines and just try and block past him everywhere where he tried to pass me.
Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Jeff MATIASEVICH making it 2 for 2 in '89, and looks like he's on his way to his second straight 125 national title.
Thank you, Dennis. Coming up, we'll find out if Rick Johnson can match Jeff MATIASEVICH, for round 2 of the Camel Supercross Series is over, and it's main event time at the Seattle Kingdome. If you've just joined us and don't know what Supercross is all about, then hang on to your chairs. When the start gate drops, 21 highly skilled riders on specially prepared motorcycles will rocket down the starting straightaway and into the first corner. Supercross is non-stop excitement. And there goes the gate, and they're off. It's too early to tell if any rider has a clear-cut advantage. We won't know that until after the first corner. And there's a crash, a pile-up at the tail end of the pack. Now, all three riders involved are up and okay. They'll get back into the fray, but it's going to be difficult to make up time on this course. And Rick Johnson is in the middle of that pack. Talk about a difficult time. He won the season opener at Anaheim, and if Johnson wants to make it 2 in a row, he's going to have to ride the race of his life. Can he do it? We'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, out in front, rider number 16 is Doug DUBACH on a Yamaha from Costa Mesa, California. Close behind in the number 2 position, Ron Tichenour aboard a Suzuki from Palm Harbor, Florida. And Tichenour goes to the inside of DUBACH and takes over the number 1 spot, but look at this. DUBACH came charging right back. He said no to Ron Tichenour, and he regained the lead. Now DUBACH leads the pack through one of the roughest parts of the Seattle track. It's DUBACH followed by Tichenour, and look at who's in third. Rider number 20 is the former Supercross champ, the O-Show, Johnny O'Mara. Just 1 week ago at Anaheim, the season opener, O'Mara put his Suzuki into the lead, and it looked like he was going to romp home the winner. Then at the midway point, O'Mara suffered a mechanical difficulty, and he was out of the race. That, though, was last week, and it's no longer on O'Mara's mind. What O'Mara is thinking about is passing his teammate, Ron Tichenour, and race leader, Doug DUBACH. With Rick Johnson caught in traffic in the middle of the pack, the time will never be better for an O'Mara win, and the O-Show knows it. But first things first, he has to get around Tichenour, then DUBACH. Riding a Honda, Johnny O'Mara won the Supercross Championship back in 1984. Now aboard a Suzuki, O'Mara has had, and O'Mara goes to the inside of teammate Ron Tichenour. The two teammates on the roughest part of the racetrack. What a place for O'Mara to try to pass. He rockets out of that corner, and has he got enough drive? Yes. O'Mara moves to the number 2 position. I started to say just a few seconds ago that the transition that O'Mara had to make from Team Honda to Suzuki was not a smooth one. The O-Show had problems adapting to the motorcycle. Add to that a string of injuries, and it's easy to understand why O'Mara has been absent from the winner's circle of late. And there goes the O-Show into the lead. He grabbed a handful of throttle off the top of a couple of jumps and flew by Doug DUBACH. At this point, O'Mara has to keep on charging. He has no idea where Rick Johnson is, nor does he know that Ron Lechien on the Kawasaki is setting in the number 4 spot, just waiting to pounce. And Lechien almost took out Tichenour and DUBACH. If Tichenour had hesitated the slightest bit, he would have been center punched by Lechien. Let's look at that again. Watch Tichenour. He's on the front brake and then on the throttle hard. If he had not been on that throttle hard, Ron Lechien would have taken him off the end of the track. And there's Rick Johnson, rider number 1. The Honda star has worked all the way to the number 5 position. Can he catch Johnny O'Mara? We'll find out right after the Supercross Series. We're in the Kingdome at Seattle, Washington, where Team Honda's Rick Johnson, rider number 1, after a horrendous start, has worked his way all the way to the number 4 position. Ahead of him, rider number 4 on the green Kawasaki is Ron Lechien. Johnson's charge through the pack has been nothing short of spectacular. His riding style is so smooth, and look at this. Johnson finds an inside line, he pulls even with Lechien and makes the pass. Johnson's riding style, as I started to say, is so smooth that it doesn't look like he's going any faster than anyone else on the track. But watch as Johnson will now open the gap between himself and Lechien. Already it's 3, 4, maybe 5 bike lengths. Johnson has the momentum on his side. Holding down the number 2 position is rider number 11, Ron Tichenour from Palm Harbor, Florida, aboard a Suzuki. Now, Tichenour knows that Johnson is coming. Can he do anything about it? That's the question. There is no question, though, that Johnny O'Mara, the race leader, rider number 20, knows exactly what he has to do. Now, his mechanic has kept him posted throughout the race of Johnson's progress. If O'Mara wants to win this one, he's going to have to get on the gas and get on it in a big way. Johnson's lap times are at least a second faster than O'Mara's. His charge has taken him now to the rear wheel of Team Suzuki rider Ron Tichenour. If Johnson is able to make that pass, he'll have clear sailing ahead. There will be no one between himself and race leader Johnny O'Mara. But first, the 2-time and defending Supercross champion has got to make the pass on Tichenour, and that could be a problem. The 19-year-old Florida rider has come on strong. He's looking more and more like the champion Suzuki was looking for when they inked his 1989 contract, and there you got to look at the distance between O'Mara, Tichenor, and Johnson. Now Johnson dives to the inside. He took a low line. Has Tichenor got enough of a drive out of that corner to hold on to second? No! Rick Johnson has taken over the number 2 position. If there's one thing that Rick Johnson does better than anyone else in the world, it's changing lines on the racetrack. In other words, Johnson will let you take your pick, then he'll ride where you aren't, and he'll make the pass. That's what he did with Tichenor. Let's look at that again. There's Tichenor up high. Now, that should have been the fast way through that corner. But Johnson somehow went low and got enough traction, got on the gas fast enough to keep Tichenor behind him. The Team Honda superstar from El Cajon, California, has already forgotten that pass, though. What he's doing now is stalking Johnny O'Mara. He's watching where O'Mara puts his front wheel. He's watching how O'Mara dives into and comes out of corners. In the next couple of laps, Johnson will learn every line being used by O'Mara. Then, when he's ready, he'll attempt the pass. O'Mara, though, will not be as easy to get around as Tichenor was. The Osho is a veteran of years of Supercross wars and has played the passing game himself. O'Mara has just made a huge mistake. The Team Suzuki rider came up short on that jump. Johnson jumped a full 7 or 8 feet further and, in fact, almost ran into O'Mara. Let's look at that again from a different angle. There's O'Mara coming up short on the jump. Johnson, with a full head of steam, had to turn sharp to avoid hitting O'Mara's rear wheel. O'Mara looked over. He knew that he'd made that mistake, and I think at that point, he was thankful he was still up on 2 wheels. When we come back, we'll see if Johnson can hold on to the number 1 spot. Where defending Supercross champion Rick Johnson just moments ago completed a charge. The Team Honda rider from the rear of the pack all the way to the front. In the process, Johnson passed all of the top U.S. riders with the exception of one, Kawasaki's Jeff Ward. Now, early in the program, you heard Ward tell Dennis Torres that he was not sure if he would be able to ride. His foot, injured 1 week ago at Anaheim, was swollen and extremely sore. Ward was on the line for his heat race, but pulled off long before the checkered flag. The Kawasaki rider is spectating at this one. Now, just before the main event, Dennis Torres again talked to Ward. He had this to say regarding the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, I think the championship-wise is probably over. This is too many points to be made up, but I'm just looking forward to the outdoors and then, maybe dominating the last Supercross races just to show that, I think it would have been my year this year, but still a lot of races to go. You never know what's going to happen, but I'm just keeping my head up.
A tough break for the Team Kawasaki star, Jeff Ward, who lives in Mission Viejo, California. Johnny O'Mara has run off the track. He's made another unbelievable error. He made a mistake and lost the number 1 position, and now he's going to drop out of second. Let's look at that again. Here's O'Mara. If it hadn't been for that hay bale and that flagman, O'Mara could very well have found himself down in the concrete, and he really would have had problems then. Johnny O'Mara is not having a good night. But here's a rider that is. Team Honda Supercross champ Rick Magic Johnson. His charge tonight has been almost unbelievable. Johnson, though, is quick to point out that getting to the front is more than just riding fast. A winning rider today needs a strong engine, a good mechanic, a lot of desire, and the latest in trick accessories. Dennis Torres has more on that.
An advantage in technology has always been a key to victory in just about every form of motorsports. In Supercross, 1989 brings forth a new innovation in front suspensions that some feel could give them the winning edge. This is the front fork assembly of the current state-of-the-art Team Yamaha Works machine. Notice the slider or movable piston-like portion of the fork is on the top. The tube or stationary portion is on the bottom. Prior to the inverted fork, this was the way a front suspension appeared on a Supercross bike, which prompts the obvious question, what's the advantage of the inverted design?
Well, for me, the inverted fork is much more rigid to ride with. When you're driving into turns really hard and you're trying to plow the front wheel, you don't get as much fork flex. Some people are finding that the traditional fork, the action of it is a little smoother, but I feel you can ride much harder, much more aggressive with the upside-down fork.
Well,
Well, the rigidity has caused some problems with frames. They've had to beef the frames up to handle that rigidity, but at this point, they're standard items on Yamaha's 125s and 250s. The cost is slightly more than the conventional style fork, but due to the better action, we put them on those production bikes.
Well, there you have it from some of the people in the know. Will the inverted fork be the status quo in motocross suspensions? The final answer, or the final verdict, should be in about the time the series finale rolls around in June. Back to you, Larry.
Thank you, Dennis, and we'll go back to race action. And this one, round 2 of the Camel Supercross Series, is winding down. Johnson has just taken the white flag, signifying 1 lap to go. For Johnson, that 1 lap will seem like an eternity. The Team Honda rider started his charge at the back of the pack. He worked all the way to the front. You can't blame him for wanting this one to end. As this race is coming to a close, we'd like to thank SRO Pace for making this telecast possible. In upcoming weeks, we'll bring you more Supercross action courtesy of SRO Pace, the Mickey Thompson Entertainment Group, and Super Sports Promotions. For the first time ever, the entire Supercross series, from the opener at Anaheim to the finale at the LA Coliseum, is being televised. You'll see all of the action right here on ESPN. And while we're at it, I'll take this opportunity to give thanks to the American Motorcyclist Association. Their help in putting this telecast together is greatly appreciated. Rick Johnson is now close to making it 2 in a row. 1 more corner and the final finish line jump, and victory is his. And there it is, with thumbs in the air, Rick Johnson claims the Seattle Supercross. Finishing behind Johnson in the runner-up position was Team Suzuki's Ron Tichenour. Ron Lechien aboard a Kawasaki finished 3rd, with Johnson's teammate Jeff Stanton finishing 4th. Rounding out the top 5, it was the French rider Jean-Michel Bayle. Finishing 6th was early race leader Johnny O'Mara on a Suzuki. Guy Cooper finished 7th, followed by Mickey Diamond in 8th, Keith Bowen in 9th, and Sean Kalos rounding out the top 10. Down on the floor, Dennis Torres is with Rick Johnson.
Larry, I'm down here with a guy who's smiling ear to ear, and why not? He's just giving the Seattle crowd something to remember. Isn't that so, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something for me to remember, if not the people in the stands. I felt really good out there, really strong. I got good people behind me, and I'd just like to thank the good Lord Jesus Christ for keeping me safe and strong out there. I'm really stoked. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night.
Rick, what was going on through your mind as you picked off rider after rider after rider?
It was tough. You know, I knew that I was riding a little bit faster than they were, and I was watching me catch them, but I couldn't relax. And just when they make a mistake, I make a little bit, I'd rest a little bit, and they pull it back away. So just had to keep fighting, and that's a good thing about John Savitsky's track, is usually the strongest man wins, and tonight I was that man.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Larry, next stop with the Johnson Express, San Diego.
After 2 rounds of the Camel Supercross Series, Rick Johnson with 2 wins is on top of the series points leaderboard with 50. Jeff Stanton has 40, Ron Lechien 36, Guy Cooper 34, and rounding out the top 5, Ron Tichenour with 23. One of Rick Johnson's goals is to win every race in a championship series. Can he do it, or will someone derail the Johnson Express? In upcoming weeks, right here on ESPN, we'll have the answer. For Dennis Torres, I'm Larry Myers. So long until next week.